Welcome to YBC's Tiny Reps, aka Reparations Zoom Happy Hour.
Hosted by Dee Zimmerer, aka Sweet Baby D Bird, and Bree Cole, me. We are so thrilled to sit down virtually with some of our favorite creatives and keep it real, raise money for the Tiny Reps Fund, a sustaining grants fund to support our local Steamboat Springs BIPOC community.
Every third Thursday of the month, we Zoom it up starting at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
To sign up or join the convo, become a sustaining or one-time donor of the Tiny Reps Fund, head over to our website, youngbloodscollective.org/tinyreps. Pew, pew.
Welcome back, everybody.
This is Tiny Reps Happy Hour for the last time.
We're putting it to bed. The name, not the idea, though.
Not the spirit.
Not the spirit, but we need to do a little pivot, which, you know, is old trick for us.
Tell us why.
Bree got a phone call today from an area code in New York City.
646.
With, yeah, I think your first intuition was spot on about what that phone call could be. With further investigation, we were talking to a lawyer today that represents one of our most inspiring role models that we have out in the world. Her name is Phoebe Robinson. Phoebe Lynn Robinson.
Phoebe Lynn Obama Robinson, more like.
That's it. She saw that we were up to some tiny reps name usage and thought that we should probably take a little change of our names. We're not getting confused with what her imprint in business is. So
it was fairly too big a bite of like her excellency.
Yep. So after speaking to the lawyer, we got some good feedback from them and decided that we're gonna keep our club going, but just like rename it. So drum roll for the new name. Hit him, Bree.
I don't know if we've officially landed, but we're Culture Club, something Culture Club for right now. But you know, that has its own biting connotations, maybe none that our generation of millennials has any reference for, but our elder millennials might. But yeah, this is Culture Club or TBD.
Yeah, this is the start of something new.
Also, we're gonna be a little more inclusive in our like we somehow neglected to add in trans non-binary to our like grant fund and slash like our kind of ethos, which we're making up for it now. This gives an opportunity to kind of be far more intersectional than it was before, which we're always welcoming.
This is it though. We made it. New York. Somebody in New York has heard of us. Phoebe knows who we are.
Queen Phoebe, because we're on our girls' radar. That, I mean, we need it. Can we just do a cheers for that? That's pretty exciting. I mean, I think that's maybe like what our hopes were anyway, right?
Yeah. Could we have this lawyer send us like on letterhead, like a letter? Could we put this in writing?
That is such a good idea.
Actually get an official cease and desist.
Yeah, we acknowledge your effort. It would be so nice.
Because he was super nice. His name was Josh, and he called Bree today, and I gave him a call, and he was definitely like, yeah, like Phoebe inspires me too. Like, we didn't want to take this like too seriously and like send you a letter. We just thought a phone call would probably be a nicer approach. So he was very sweet to us. So I think if we asked him for a letter, I'm sure he would hook it up.
I think we absolutely should. I mean, it is, we knew this day could come. So all in fair game, but also like it's gonna take a bit of like work to rebrand and to have an official, like whenever we get a headquarters, to have that framed cease and desist from Phoebe.
I'll take it.
Polite
So
email even would be great.
Yeah, we'll print it out on our own like letter. Like whatever. Nice paper.
Plaque of sorts.
Yeah. We'll immediately plaque that. We love to plaque a thing.
But yeah, it feels nice to start with tiny reps and now kind of evolve into a bigger opportunity for us to kind of hone it in and reach a new demographic and continue the work, but in a more kind of like our own way, I think.
And if there's anything that Youngbloods is really good at, it's pivoting. It's adaptation and growth and saying, fuck it, how do we do it better?
Turn it on a dime.
Yep.
Problem solve, like immediate problem solve.
Happy to do it. We were in the wrong, so we'll fold and move forward.
To be honest, I was impressed that it took, took that long. It's almost a year. June will be a year that we've been gallivanting around with tiny reps. But, I really love that we were able to get that in the pilot. They did an article saying tiny reps, and it was like a really nice article.
Oh.
And that's like in our archives now. That's in our community's archives. I'm happy for that. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
You had a good run.
Y'all done good.
And not without everybody that supports Youngbloods / everything we do, with Sista Luna and Sarah Valentino, Sweet Baby Z-Bird, all of our amazing guests, which none of that's gonna stop, but it's gonna look a little different.
Yeah.
New name.
New name who dis?
I
feel like I gotta write that down for a promo.
Yeah. New name who this?
New name. TBD.
Yes. It was fun while it lasted. But yeah, what are you all thinking for this week? What do you want to get into?
It's been a laden week, 2020 plus 2020, etc. in this Panini. 2021 is proving to be pretty, we might be vaxxed, but things still look pretty grim. We had the Derek Chauvin trials this week, and he was convicted for 3 counts of guilty. So, that's open to talk about. Reparations are on the table too, which is that's pretty delightful news. And consider, it's happening, from tiny reparations to reparations reaching the fucking Senate or House or one of those groups. HR, I should have done a little more research. HR 40, I think. Oh yeah, because it's 40. Yeah, 40 acres.
I'm gonna look it up.
HR.
Right now. Yeah. On the Chauvin trial, I was actually surprised at how many people had to explain to other people what the murder charge was. That like legally, like no, like the intent didn't matter in that particular like second degree murder charge that he got. Like there's so many people who are so upset about it, and then other people having to be like, yeah, this is what that means. You know what I mean?
I don't, but I can imagine.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's because of like there's no like he didn't have to have intent to like kill, but he had to, if he had intent to assault, like that, and there was a death that resulted from his assault, that counts as murder. And people, you know, there's a lot of very like right-leaning people who think that this murder charge is just like outrageous, saying like, oh well, he didn't have intent, like that's such a ridiculous charge. Like the amount of people stepping in and being like, here, let me explain to you what this murder charge means, which is that he was assaulting someone, which like, yeah, kneeling on somebody's neck for 9 minutes counts as assault. Yeah.
And it shouldn't take 330 days plus protests for months plus video footage plus tests, you know, like it shouldn't need all of that to get to what we ended up with.
Did you hear how the news originally reported a year ago when it happened? It was like such a gaslighting headline. It was like, man dies in a, let me look it up. George.
Yeah. I think I did see that, like, man dies of like health complications during an interaction with police, which is like,
right. And then it took a 17-year-old girl to turn in like the footage that she had to like really like bring it to people's life. But that was just gonna go under the radar as a classic.
Like that is a fucking euphemism to say that he's died of health complications.
Right. They almost got away with it.
So to think of how many like cases there are out there that don't have that type of video footage.
Right. You think about like the trans cases that, number one, don't have that video footage, number two, get dead named and like totally misreported as, you know, like if they're a woman and they get reported as a man, that's a pretty big difference in like, you know, people's attention, right? And of course they're always like typically Black and femme. And so you turn that narrative and it's a completely different story.
Yeah. Now there needs to be some accountability when police officers are making their reports. Like there needs to be a fact check. There needs to be like we need proof of this before it just goes filed away as what he said in the heat of the moment. And just like everything needs to be fact checked and much more properly scrutinized.
Yeah, I heard one of the explanations like of the videos watching said that it can't be counted as justice, like, but it could be counted as accountability, because like there's no way to get justice for this, like true justice, like because there's no like it's not like there's going to be any kind of like restorative like repair of the damage that's been done.
Yeah, it's already like traumatized nations and generations, so it's like not even
Black
a question of being able to like recover from the pain that it's caused, and like no justice for that. Absolutely. But I mean, listening to his girlfriend as like the announcement was made of the guilty charges, she just had like a really beautiful like outlook on the whole experience. And she was just saying that like George changed her life and changed the world, and it's gonna help so many other people, and he has made such an impact. And obviously this is just the beginning and of the hard road, but it feels, at least like a slight bit of relief that we're moving forward with the sentencing. I think will be like the next big deal, but 8 weeks until that gets determined.
And it sets a precedent. And really, like at this point, that's what we need. We need people to be able to see that this is like a racist and severely corrupt system. Like there's no reforming it. Like we need a new blueprint. Policing does not positively affect communities or people of color, namely Black people.
Right. Like this is just more highlighting why certain communities don't trust police, never have, and would prefer not even to call the police because it's going to turn into a wilder situation. But at least it's just been brought to the masses. Like, I think finally people can't say like, I just never knew. Like, that kind of bullshit can go to the
If
end.
you don't know by now,
Right.
you are willfully ignorant.
That's not an
Willfully
excuse
ignorant.
anymore. Yeah, and I think that yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what change really comes and who is getting it and gonna make pressure lawmakers and all the systems.
Yeah, and it is HR 40.
Yeah, I looked that up. I didn't know about that.
It was, I mean, I think maybe earlier this week or last week. You know, Corona time. Who fucking knows anymore? Everything feels near and far. Phoebe, our girl Phoebe, wrote some really she has some like incredible slides on Instagram after the trials, but there's one that I want to read. So often, many of these crimes against Black and brown bodies happen because the perpetrators feel they can get away with it because they always have. Today feels earth-shattering. That a Black person received the justice they were certainly owed was a recognition of their humanity. George Floyd should not be dead, should not be a hashtag, should not be missing his child grow up. No verdict can fix that. But what I am moved by is that in spite of the legal system we have, Floyd's humanity is undebatable. That girl. And that was like one of like 10 slides. But yeah, it's can't unknow now, bitches. So now we have to do something to change it.
Yeah.
Get that fucking racist Wiggins out of sheriffing. Ugh.
So we're coming for you, Wiggins.
When is he? I wonder when he's up for re-election. Do we know?
Lime time. She said it's like I think he's got 2 more years because they didn't have enough people in the timeline to petition for him because you had to have signatures in person and we were in the middle of a fucking pandemic to recall him, to start like a recall. So he's in for 2 more years at least. And racist Sheriff Wiggins is the Routt County / Yampa Valley sheriff who's been racist on more than one occasion, outwardly, publicly. So if you're in your Routt County and you can vote, please do so. It's your civil duty. And we've got racists among us, so we have the power to unseat them from their positions of oppressive power.
Yeah, on a maybe not in a power level, but certainly in a like a cultural level. Recently, I don't know if this is probably not well known, but down in the school district in South Route, they've had a problem with people drawing Nazi signs on the walls in the bathrooms, and they keep having to repaint. Which, yeah,
Like serious damage, like large signage and stuff.
I'm not quite sure, but I just know that it's happening within the bathrooms, that they've had to put some coats of paint up because of this. And I mean, credit to leadership. They've actually been very active with pursuing it and trying to track it down. Like,
are they vocal with like the students of like talking about it?
I don't know. I don't know what their response has been. I'd like to say yes, but I couldn't speak to it like anything that I've witnessed down there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, how fucked up is that? That it's like, yeah, this is our backyard. This is our community, the county that we live in. And this is the stuff that people are like still dealing with. Like the students that are, walking the halls down there, having to live in this community. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
of work to be done right here.
A lot of work to do, but there's still things to celebrate and to I don't know, just promise. It just seems like there is light at the end of the wildly long, like daunting tunnel, but little days, like, I don't know, there's like moments of feeling like things are clicking and things are starting to show a little bit of change. So, I mean, when you guys were talking about having Pride this summer, like that kind of got me excited of kind of hearing that people are going to start celebrating different, I don't know, parts of our community. So hopefully that'll spark some joy for us at some point.
It sparks joy now, just knowing that it's coming.
Yes.
Yeah, knowing that there's
like there's no other way to like fight this other than like just keep being us and celebrate and just show people that this is here and we're not gonna be silenced.
Snapping for you, D. That was great.
Yeah. Did you guys have anything good that happened this week or that you read that was a little more positive?
I mean, I'm the reparations, HR 40.
Dope. Yeah, that's a big deal.
It's a big fucking deal. I mean, there's never even been just like a national apology. A fucking apology that takes like no cost, right? Other than maybe like to but the president has like a 24/7 broadcasting to the people. Yeah. Yeah. That HR 40 is a fucking bill going somewhere that feels good.
Is it pretty detailed out of like what qualifies someone in this payment situation?
Sarah?
I have no idea. I
feel like I might have heard something about like maybe you have to have like some sort of proof or something, but I've been reading into the lack of history that a lot of Black people in America don't have access to, and that would just go in harder if that was the case of you have something to prove. It's like, guys, you've taken away like all our opportunity to prove that we're like come from like slavery. Like you didn't let us read and write when we were enslaved, so we couldn't like tell our stories. Like everything's verbal, everything's like not documented for the most part for a long time. And people trying to do like 23andMe, like all those testing right now, like that's pretty off the mark too, and just more oppressive in the end of just not really being able to like track your lineage and just saying like, oh, like you might have like shared DNA with this person, but it's like such a broad pool and just really is confusing for people to like even track down things like that. So I'd be curious how that goes.
D. Yeah. That's fucking it was like of course, like of course there's a fucking loophole. That's the fucking loophole. That none of that is like, there's like not accurate voter records. That's for fucking sure. Oh my.
Yeah, I feel like it could get messy.
And like very easily.
Yeah, it might be very much like, oh yeah, like nice try. Like if you guys can do this, then you can like earn your reparations. It's like, fuck you guys. Like this was out of our control from the jump. And now we're still jumping over hurdles.
So are you saying that you're like afraid that it might just be like a performative, like a promotional thing to make them look good and it won't actually do any good?
I know nothing about this, but that's my first kind of like pessimistic. I could see maybe an issue with this eventually.
We're just people talking. We're not like spewing facts or anything. If people want the facts, they can go Google it.
Exactly. I'm just thinking out loud here, spitballing, just seeing where maybe some issues could arise, and time will tell.
And like also because history and like
yeah, like depending on who's in charge of this thing, it could go sideways.
And yep. Yeah.
I'm
Right. You gotta, yeah. You just gotta see it from every side. I so appreciate that vantage point. I think it's a really valid and really important one, because as soon as it hits that hurdle, then it's, oh, it's too much. We can't, oh, hands are tied. Blah, my partner doesn't want you, it's like some associate bullshit. Shout out to Whoopi Goldberg,
Yes, Whoopi all day.
Also, man, I wish I could remember who posted it. It could have been Phoebe, because duh. But Whoopi has this like fabulous high fashion, like beautiful spread, like photo fashion spread. I want to say Vanity Fair. That might be wrong. It might be Vogue.
Ooh, should I look it up? Should I try to like find it and share it?
It feels pretty good. It feels pretty good to me. It would, yeah, if you can find it and share it. Oh yeah, because you could share. Shit, who posted that?
Okay, I'm guessing it's not Amazon. Is it recently?
Yeah, it's like I saw it this morning. She hasn't even posted it on her social media.
I'm looking right now.
So we pause elder millennials searching the internet for things.
Trying to figure out.
Oh yes. Okay. Hollywood royalty, Oscars variety. Iconic.
Okay. What's it on? Do you want to share it, or can you, or tell me what to look up here?
What should I email it to you?
Sure. I'll edit this so it looks like a really smooth transition.
You can edit this garbage out.
Yeah. I'll just edit it so that we know all of the facts too, of like all of the House bills and all.
As we're like willfully ignorant. Meanwhile,
It's okay. People come here for opinions.
that's right. This is like a podcast, but in real time. Ugh, what a queen. Okay, I'm emailing them over. D-Bird, did you see it yet?
See what you're sending?
Yeah.
Are you putting it in the chat?
Sorry, I'm the worst at this. Oh. There we go. I got it, guys. Okay.
What just happened?
Just sent it, but also I'm like, wow, I was sweating doing that.
What'd you send it to?
Just the email. I should just text. I'm really the worst at this. There it is. Oh man, I'm like sweating so bad all of a sudden. And I'm glad we're not in person.
Oh, here we go.
And that you can edit this all. And that you can't smell me. I don't know how we got on that tangent, but
Okay, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share them.
and also while we're at it, just celebrating 420. Decriminalize fucking weed and make sure that marginalized Black and brown people are put at the top of dispensary lists and grow operations. And I can't have this fucking conversation anymore. This is duh. It's a duh. And this is a duh. Look at this queen.
Whoops. Holy smokes.
Queen of our lives. Queen of my night. Queen of my life.
Damn. She still got it. Better than ever. She's gotta be like 70 years old.
Got it.
Holy.
When did Sister Act come out? Was that like 30 years ago?
The first one I think was 92.
So
Maybe
yeah.
93?
How does she look the same as she did in Sister Act?
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Holy.
She's
Man,
incredible.
you know what I looked like in 92?
I know. Not like that.
Like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Like a 6-year-old. That's what I look like in 92.
6-year-old. Whoopi Goldberg, queen of our lives. You heard it here first.
Did anything happen with 420 this year in kind of correcting things with BIPOC community and weed?
Not that I'm super aware of, because there was just like a bunch of trans bills that like went through, got passed. About, just like life even harder and more miserable for people who are trans and not acknowledging them and that exists, and and just all the other bullshit that it's just everything gets so overshadowed right now because every day it's a new atrocity. And as hours before the Chauvin verdict was Makia. Sorry, I meant to look this up, but this like 16-year-old girl got fucking shot in the goddamn driveway. 16-year-old Black girl. She was 16. That is not a fucking adult. And just, no hesitation, just shot.
It's sick.
It's fucking sick. And
in Minnesota, right? Like, wasn't it?
It was in Ohio, I think.
Oh, okay.
Damn, Midwest, get your shit together.
Yeah, they're really.
Damn, everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, have you seen like how many like mass shootings there's been this month?
Get your shit together.
It's not a good look.
And it's just like, we know too much to allow this to keep happening. Like, we know what the systemic fucking problem is. It's been built this way. There was another meme slash tweet, but meme because I saw it on Instagram, right? Because I'm an elder millennial, can't fuck with Twitter. But it was like, white supremacy will occasionally sacrifice one of their own to, like, in the guise of being part of the change, and I'm like, oh fuck, like, another side to this whole situation is like, there are a lot of powers at play. Tomei, yes.
We're recording, so you're going to be on this.
Hello.
So speaking of 420, I recently learned something that I didn't know before.
What?
And okay, so I learned, and I feel like some part of me has heard about this before, but I guess it's becoming a little bit more mainstream now to not use, because I kind of work in like the substance use world as well. Like, it's becoming more common to not use the term marijuana because it has racist roots against Hispanic people. So back in the like 40s and 50s, when there was a lot of like Hispanic migration to the US, this was back before the war on drugs and everything. The reason that they use the term marijuana was to distinguish it from the term cannabis, which was a medical term that doctors used, and they invented this word marijuana, and I can't think of, like, off the top of my head what the like where it came from, but it was used to be able to distinguish it from this medical term so that they could criminalize this new group of people who was coming into the US and associate this negative term marijuana as like this evil thing that makes you go crazy with them, rather than the medical term that all of the doctors used. Like, I didn't know that. And so apparently in a lot of legislation nowadays, like in Colorado and in a lot of the like the movements now, it's becoming a lot more common to use the word cannabis instead. Like, going back to that, I never knew this before, and I'm like, this is like a new thing that is becoming a lot more popular to, take the word marijuana out of your vocabulary.
Wow.
And weed is just like a slang, probably.
Yeah, I guess weed is like, I don't know what I've heard about. I don't know about weed, but like, yeah, like they kind of, sometimes people use it to mean like something like dirty, but
Or pot.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many, like slang or street words for it, but cannabis, that's interesting. That makes sense, because it seems like, don't you have to use probably that word if you post on social media and stuff, like to kind of make sure you're not gonna get flagged and everything? I bet cannabis is probably the term. That's like gentrified.
Gentrified hashtags.
What?
Gentrified hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I bet you're right, because there was like the Broccoli Talk girls were, at some point they have had a similar conversation where they were like, like, what terms do you call it? Because there's like all these different kind of vernaculars around weed, right? And like how you, if you're like in the closet about weed, or if you're, I think this is very interesting. But yeah, another one of those things of like, not Route County, because that's some colonial white bullshit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, and also I did mean to make an email about this, but here and now we're on Ute land / noosh, which is what they prefer to be called. And also like Apache tribal land. Just knowing like the land you're on, the indigenous land you're on. I would
Stolen.
like to help become a practice of like young bloods, but also like just people in their lives of, you know, knowing what indigenous land that they're vacationing on or like living on.
That's-
As soon as we normalize it, then, you know, things change, right? Something so little that we can do that's like can be so enriching and just yeah, connecting us to the heritage that is the fucking Yampa Valley that is constantly undermined by our local governing white bodies.
Have y'all seen on HBO? There's a docuseries right now called I believe it's "Exterminate All the Brutes," and it's about like um, white supremacy and how it's been throughout history, and like all the way back to, you know, basically religion, how these conquistadors would come out about to like this new land, and no matter how poor you were, as long as you were white and Christian or whatever their religion, you had a more true stake to the land than the natives. And like, you know, from there down the rabbit hole all the way to like today. But super interesting, kind of on brand with what y'all are saying.
What is
When
it
you
called
think,
again?
It's either kill all the brutes or exterminate the brutes.
you think about Donald Trump and the Republican Party's fan base, you know,
Well,
and that's
even
what they've done. They've like separated them, the poorest, even, you know, from the minorities to make them feel like they're somehow superior. Their fight is not equal.
yeah, and what I found like super interesting was, like the Second Amendment, the bear arms. Well, that's rooted in white supremacy, so that like, no, you could, if you were able to have a weapon, you could fight off the natives and capture slaves. And then where it goes into today, I think it said like 80% of gun owners are white men. You know, so it's definitely a bummer. Like it, not a feel good, but it's super
Explains a
informative.
lot.
Yeah, super informative.
And we got to know that enemy because it's a fine line these days. You don't know who your enemy is until like, you know, until you find that line. Ooh.
And it's important for people nowadays to just ask questions of how we got here and like look into the roots of things, because it all stems from someone's ideologies that we're all just continuing to carry out and give weight to. It's like we've never been able to change it because it's always been this like upper, out of reach for people of color to even have a voice in it until now. I feel like now it's like definitely
Yeah.
an
I think it's
opportunity.
I think it's appropriate too that it's not like a feel good thing. I think that's like all too common of a wish for a lot of people, that they're like, "Oh, can't we just all just stay positive all the time?" It's like, yeah, but not all growth is comfortable, and not all exposing yourself to like what is true and acknowledging like everything from our history is probably not going to be comfortable. Like, and it's sorry, get yeah, Breeze Breeze celebrating over there. But that's like it. But yeah, that like it doesn't have to be a feel good thing. Like just because it doesn't feel good doesn't mean you should just avoid it at all costs and like blind yourself to it because it doesn't make you feel all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Toxic positivity. That's like not helpful.
Is that a term? Toxic positivity?
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's this like
Yeah.
misconception that like you're supposed to be like that everything you experience in life is just supposed to be like comfortable and coddling and like, oh, anything that makes me feel bad is like bad for my mental health or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but no, like like we're made to be challenged. That's how growth happens, is by you know, you're going to be uncomfortable and then eventually you grow, you know. Yeah. It's kind of like there's this like metaphor that I think of about like how lobsters grow with their exoskeleton. Like what happens first is that their bodies, like their soft bodies grow big and they're like all smushed inside their shell. And it takes them a little while to like build up their shell, their new shell underneath, and then break out of their old one. And it's like kind of the same when it comes to a lot of like mental and like social awareness. It is that like, yeah, you got to go through this period of discomfort before you can break out and like become something different.
Yep.
Toxic positivity. I like that.
You know what else is funny is when it's like this blind pride, let's say. So if it's in your own country, it's positivity, or I mean, it's patriotism. It's thought of positively. Whereas if it's elsewhere, it's nationalism. It's semantics.
Now I think we can acknowledge, like looking into our history, that like there's a lot to be proud of. There's also a lot to acknowledge that we should not be proud of, like that there are those mistakes, and that, yeah, there is a lot to still change nowadays. Like it's not just a matter of being like grateful of the changes that have happened so far, but also a matter of like looking to the future and acknowledging all of the weaknesses that we have along the way.
I feel like we've talked about this maybe at a Tiny Reps before, but about how, like the American flag, how patriotism has like been weaponized in our, 2021 plus lives. And, like the reign of Donald Trump and the GOP has just been, you see one of those rolling through town, and, as a white person, it sets me on edge, like that's like,
I'm
that's
triggered. If I see a flag, I'm triggered, and I'm like, what's your what's your goal here with like raising that? I saw it half down yesterday at the police station. I was kind of curious about, or actually at the Big Agnes station, I think now. I was like confused by like why I was like half down. I'm like, oh, it doesn't sit right with me sometimes. Like what were
sometimes it's not even the American flag. It's like a Trump flag or some like ridiculous like iteration of yeah, perversion of it.
With the color in your own, they start with the blue, you fill in the rest. That excellent meme.
Yeah, fill in. It may just make it into the rainbow. Add some rainbow colors in there.
Yeah. Just a pride flag. Missing the intersectionality.
You want to talk about anything else?
Tomasi taps.
Do we know anyone with Native history or ancestry around here that we could talk to about the land that we're on?
So in one of the pre-culture club Tiny Reps clubs that I hosted, Enrique Mastis came and like spoke, and it was really cool. And also he has excellent taste in music, and yeah, his first concert was a Prince concert in Denver when he was like in 5th grade or something.
Damn.
So I mean, if you can do like, you know, that should just set the stage for, you know, he's pretty cool. And I did reach out to him to try and come on tonight. And I hope to rope him into some Youngblood stuff because I think he'd be such a cool asset. And he got me all fired up about the city council. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of potential. And as we like take this new step to be more intersectional, I hope that Enrique can be part of this discussion. And also he like leads nature walks and has some like CMC courses, which I'm hoping like maybe we can just have like a series that, you know, he hosts through Youngbloods, and we can just sign up and like take nature walks and learn about Indigenous history and, you know, everything. So
Ooh, I would love that. That's the kind of culture club I want to be a part of.
no,
Like go take me out in nature, teach me about trees, let me touch all the plants.
yeah, and like the healing, yeah. I hope that it's within his bandwidth to come and do some cool shit. He has been very lip serviced by white people in this community. So
I hope he knows by you mentioning him, he's now obligated to do this.
he does have
So-
a YouTube channel with some like music playlists, and I just found it today, and I highly recommend. He's got excellent taste in music. That's what I know so far.
Yeah. Culture Club.
Here we come, Culture Club.
The club formerly known as Tiny Reps.
Tiny Reps, we pour one out for you and to our high priestess, Phoebe. Thank you for your acknowledgement. Happily, we will cease and desist, but we want proof.
Okay, well, yeah. Thanks guys for showing in. It's a fun one. Worked out. Technically the 4th Thursday of the month. I didn't because none of us noticed that the 1st was on a Thursday. Oops.
We
Hello.
just, you know, we live in the pandemic life. We can ignore things if we want to.
Yeah. It is what it is. The timing worked out for us. So it was
For reality a little bit, but we have a good reason.
sweet.
Here we are. Also, everyone's out of town.
Yeah, it's spring break.
Tiny
Okay.
Reps signing off for the last time.
It's been real.
It's been real.
Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual Tiny Reps happy hour.
If you feel compelled, please send some monetary praise to our guest. Their Venmo is in the chat.
If you have any suggestions for future guests, email or DM us, info@youngbloodscollective.org or at YoungbloodsCollective on Insta.
We look forward to chatting with y'all to talk creativity intersecting with the BLM movement.
Speak up, show up, and let's turn the tides, y'all.